Going, folks? This is Shockwave48. Welcome back to a brand new video. And today we hit chapter 419 of My Hero Academia. Guys, things are heating up in this chapter, and things are not quite going well at some point because in this title we see that Deku is done for, and I'm pretty sure what that means exactly. But we're gonna find out on today's chapter reveal because I lived a few chapters and I saw it for myself, and I was like, this is not looking good. This is actually terrible. So I don't want to spoil out the surprise, but we'll see what's going on in this chapter, guys. Let's jump right in. Let's do this.
So we got the 419 spoilers, and this chapter is absolutely wild. We are coming towards the end of the series here, so all bets are off. So let's just get right into it. All for One speaks to Izuku as an armless child and tells him, "You took the One for All and you stole Yoichi from me. By attacking Tomura psychologically, you allow me to emerge on the surface." So yeah, in the previous chapter, we saw that All for One is back. He has come through somehow. There's a fragment of him, I suppose, still in the All for One quirk factor. When they were going through their memories, especially going through Tomura's childhood, All for One came through, and now he is back. But they are still in the memory world at this point. Shigaraki is disintegrating in the imaginary world and sees All for One. All for One is telling him that Shigaraki never made a choice in his life, but that it was All for One who made him believe that he had his own decision and he was controlled from the start. All for One says that he failed twice to capture One for All. The first time with Lariat alias Daigoro Banjo, and the second time with Gaian alias N Tayutai. All that was missing from All for One was an iron will. While All Might was growing in power, All for One began looking for someone mentally weak, someone he could control. So yeah, this is more insight into how All for One came up with his big master plan to orchestrate, I suppose, Shigaraki. Because at some point, Yujiko figured out that hey, All for One, the only way that we're going to be able to forcibly take One for All and bypass the failsafe that's built into it to prevent itself from being taken by the All for One quirk is to have an iron will of hatred, which for some reason All for One didn't have. So they were like, all right, so we're gonna have to traumatize a kid from scratch. We're gonna have to build him up and make him have intense hatred from the age of 5 or whatever, and eventually pass on the All for One quirk to him, and then have him become strong enough with his new reinforced modified body that can handle the advanced effects of All for One and the quirk singularity, and then bypass his own consciousness with your.
Hey, I'm Dea, and a little thing I love about the Chick-fil-A chicken strips is that crispy breading.
Yours, and then take him over, and then in that way you can take One for All eventually. I'm a little tired when I'm recording this, so maybe that's not perfect, but it's more or less what the whole plan was and what essentially is happening here. All for One meets Tomura's father, and he convinced him to have another child. Tomura's sister was already too big for All for One to handle, so he convinced the father to have another child. Wow, we didn't know that. And it's kind of sad that Tomura's father was just so easily duped.
That guy was a madman. He was a terrible father.
From some random guy. I guess All for One is pretty persuasive, but it doesn't even seem like he threatened him or anything. He just tricked him. And of course, we all know that All for One is targeting Tomura's father because he is the son of Nana. Although at this time, One for All was in the possession of All Might, but All Might was just too powerful. So yeah, he had to go through all this weird planning stuff with children. When Tomura was born, All for One took away his original quirk and gave him a new quirk when he brought him home. So yeah, this is finally it. It's finally being confirmed, the theory that we've been talking about for years now. And it's that decay was given to Shigaraki by All for One as a child. It wasn't inherently his quirk. Apparently he had another quirk. I don't know if it's being explained what it was here. I thought maybe he was going to be born quirkless, but no. Maybe he did have a quirk because it says he took it away and gave him a new one, which was decay. Dr. Garaki then copied a person's quirk, disintegration, but removed the other side of the quirk, the ability to reconstruct, and transferred it to Tomura. He has been controlling Tomura's life from the beginning. But first, let's talk about the sponsor of this video, HOFSCO, because they have a
Let's
new
go.
Sync Max 14-inch folding electric bike. This thing is really cool. I've never really seen anything like it before. It weighs
Wait, it
about
transforms?
42.3 pounds, and like I mentioned, it folds for an unrivaled convenience. Like, you can easily store it in the trunk of your car or just, easy keeping in your house. It has a 450 watt high powered motor that goes up to a 19 mile per hour max speed. It has 14-inch durable tires and has about a max range of 30 miles, along with a 36 volt
Looks like a bike.
lithium ion battery. It also has a pedal assist mode where you can
It is
adjust
a
speed
bike.
levels from L,
Ah.
M to H to meet your daily need. L is an eco mode that goes about 4 miles per hour. M is the standard mode that goes about 12 miles per hour. And then H is sport mode for those thrilling rides when you're looking to go about 19 miles per hour. And to assist you with that, it has this great thumb throttle to where if you don't feel like pedaling or you really need to get somewhere quick, you can just hold it down and just cruise. It also has an advanced dual brake system featuring a
I gotta get me
front
one of
disc brake
those.
and a rear e-brake, which provides reliable stop distance. It also has a bright headlight and brake tail light. This is essential for riding in the city, guys. So yeah, like I said, this thing is just so great and convenient. It's perfect for the city and great for commutes. Like, I personally don't have a car because I live downtown, so this thing just makes everything so much easier for me. So guys, you can get your very own HOFSCO Sync Max 14-inch folding electric bike by clicking the link in my description, because right now you can get the limited time deal of $50 off by using code MTV. Again, I'll have the link in the description. Thanks, guys. Wow, I wonder if this is Overhaul's quirk, because there's implications that Overhaul was brought up in the same orphanage that Dobby was, like that weird controlled hatred orphanage place. I'll go way more into this chapter, as I always do once the chapter is released, so subscribe for that if you haven't already, guys. Trying to get to 300k. I've been slacking off on that, forgetting to ask you guys to subscribe. So if you can help me with that, that'd be awesome. But yeah, there's a big theory that I have here stemming from this, because I think it's ultimately going to play into how everything is going to be resolved as well, which goes into the double-sided coin of the decay quirk here. We see Shigaraki disintegrating in the imaginary world, and All For One says, "There, I have annihilated your mind. I had planned to play this card after seizing One For All, but oh well." Shigaraki is completely disintegrated, and All For One shouts, "Now disappear." We see young Izuku armless, being projected out of the invisible world and back into the real world. He says Yoichi is no longer here. Shigaraki emerges from smoke and says, "My midterm plan is no longer feasible." He hears something in his head and he says, "Huh? There's still an echo left." And he grows a hand and covers his mouth, saying, "Silence." So yeah, Izuku has like no arms. Like, his arms are blown off by decay, like it happened in the memory world, but it's happening
Not
in real
good.
life too. And he's quirkless. Like, Izuku's done, essentially, at this point. All For One, who now has full control over Shigaraki's body, says
That's
that
not
the
good.
psychic attacks he received in the other world have had repercussions on his physique. He mentions that the disintegration quirk, the rage, and the hatred have disappeared, and he declares that Tomura is finally dead, and that the vessel he had been crafting for years is ruined, and that his little brother is no longer there either. Izuku, lying on the ground, speaks softly. All For One. All For One says that he will move on to his final goal of conquering the world, but Izuku tells him that he will never let him do it. However, suddenly he feels a sharp pain. Izuku has lost both his arms. All For One says that Izuku also hasn't emerged unscathed. Izuku has flashbacks and says, no, it's not over. He won't give up. And All For One says it's often said that people become stronger when they lose something, but you, from the start, had nothing. Look where you are now. He prepares to launch an attack on Izuku, and suddenly Sero arrives and grabs onto All For One with his adhesive tape. All For One says that he didn't feel Sero approach because he was insignificant compared to Izuku. Sero reassures Izuku and says that they are there. Ojiro and Sato arrive to fight against All For One. While
Well, some more
Ojiro and Sato
reinforcements.
attack All For One, Izuku says you're all safe, and a person appears behind him saying, sorry, Izuku. Aizawa emerges from a portal and says, we're a little late. End of chapter. So
Oh,
this is awesome.
oh,
It
snap.
isn't just coming down to Izuku has to do everything by himself. I mean, it probably will eventually, but I really appreciate that Horikoshi is having the other students come in and get their final moments here and helping in the final battle here. Like Sato and Ojiro and Sero all teaming up here. Sero, you know, holding back All for One from landing an attack on Izuku. Sato actually landing a clean strike along with Ojiro, and then Aizawa coming from a portal. This is important.
I haven't seen you in a while.
We've seen Aizawa for a while now.
Yeah.
The last time we saw him, he was like falling with Kurogiri / Shirakumo, and they like warped off somewhere. So I guess this means that Aizawa broke through to Kurogiri, and now he's like Shirakumo again, possibly? I don't know. We'll talk about that more too once we can go over the full chapter.
Okay. All right. Before I end this video, I want to clarify something. This is obviously a guess for me. I believe that Class 1A, all the students of Class 1A, and Miss Aizawa, well, no. Everyone from Class 1A is going to help Deku fight. Is going to fight Shigaraki. I have this feeling it's going to happen. Because, yes, Izuku's, you know, quirkless, both his arms off. I don't know how he's going to get it repaired, but still. Class 1A is going to do everything they can to stop, you know, Shigaraki. And even though they never stopped him before, but they're going to try their best to help Izuku. Just like Izuku helped, you know, Class 1A every once in a while, but this is their moment. Class 1A is their moment to shine and help out and fight back. I cannot wait. This is getting interesting, but I actually feel bad for Izuku, even though his arms are busted and bleeding to death. And being that he's quirkless, there's a 70% chance he might get a quirk back, but who knows? I mean, I'm not for certain. It's only a guess, so I'm just guessing here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for today's video. Thanks for watching, and we'll look forward to see what happens in the next chapter. Peace out.